Good morning, everyone. We're starting off early today. Today would be a big day in the NFL for the Seattle Seahawks if things had gone according to schedule. But in all likelihood, it's looking like it's going to be just another day. And that's really unfortunate. Today is the trade deadline. And one reason why I'm getting this video up really early is because, as far as I know, as of now, when this video is getting uploaded, nothing has happened with the Seahawks yet, one way or the other, at the deadline. We haven't made a trade for a player, we haven't made a trade for a pick. As far as I know, we have not moved. And that is a shitty place to be. And that is highlighted by what you see from the really good teams in our division. And it really highlights how crappy this season is. And don't get me wrong, I stand by what I said in my postgame video against Jacksonville. I stand by what I said in the postgame stream. I'm not black and white on this. I don't need my team to be either winning the Super Bowl or going 0-17. I acknowledge there is some gray area in the middle that you have to be willing to occasionally live with. But today, the trade deadline day, watching your team just sit on their hands and do nothing, despite the fact that they have cap room and despite the fact that they are way back in their division, it reminds you how crappy it is to be here. So, if you look at the other two teams in the division, obviously you're seeing them throw some punches. Specifically, yesterday you saw the Los Angeles Rams trade a second and third round pick for Von Miller to add to that defensive pass rush along with Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd. So I'm not saying that the Von Miller trade will work. I'm not saying it won't work. That time will tell. Lots of Broncos fans will tell you that Von Miller doesn't look the same. He's a shell of his former self, but he's still putting up decent numbers. And now he's going to get to play next to multiple pass rushers who are, at this point in their careers, better than him. And it's not really about whether or not it works. It's about the fact that they're trying. That's the thing. Because when you compare the Rams going all in to what the Seahawks did to go all in, you see the difference. The Seahawks left so many stones unturned when they decided to try to win this year. And regardless of whether or not it works, when a team decides that they're going to try to make a run, a deep run, in a particular season, I expect them to go all out. I don't expect them to half-ass it. Half-assing an attempt at a Super Bowl run is something that you might be able to get away with when you're Bill Belichick and you're able to put together a team that is able to consistently win for 20 years. But when you're everybody else, and at this point, I don't think you can call Carroll and Schneider even average among the everyone else's. I think they're clearly well below average in their ability to put together and coach a team. When you go all in, you just have to shove everything in. Sometimes you do it haphazardly, sometimes it's messy, but you at least take a shot. And the Seahawks left a lot of cap space on the table, 13 million. They left some opportunities to create more cap space on the table with Wilson, maybe Bobby Wagner as well. They let a lot of potentially enticing players like C.J. Henderson and Stephon Gilmore and shoot, I can't even remember all the names at this point. A lot of guys get sent around in other trades, and you just sat there and watched. You decided that you were good with the team that you had, even though you started the season off by losing a couple of very winnable games against Tennessee and Minnesota. You didn't make moves. You lost Wilson, and it became clear that you were going to need some reinforcements to even have a chance to hold the season together. You didn't make moves then. And here you are, with your thumb up your butt. You've got a lot of cap room still, and you're 3-5, and you're, what, 4 games back in the division from 2 teams? You're 4 games back of 2 different teams in the division, and you probably should be selling now, but it seems like the team doesn't want to become sellers either because, hey, 3-5, it's not over yet, right? We're still alive. We could get on a streak, and if we beat the Cardinals twice, maybe we can leapfrog them. They might lose Kyler and the Rams. Maybe you don't catch the Rams, but you can get the wild card, and then who knows? And the head coach is 70 years old, and he's not interested in thinking about next year because he might die of old age next year for all he knows. He's thinking about things like that, not thinking about the long-term health of this team because for him there might not be any long-term, and you just end up in this messed up situation where you've got you don't know what to do. You don't know whether to sell off your good, valuable players who have trade value. You don't know if you should go out there and try to get other players. You're just stuck. And that's the part that sucks right now. And of course, the Cardinals, this was a couple weeks ago. This was not a trade deadline deal, but still, they acquired a Pro Bowl tight end in Zach Ertz a couple of weeks ago in exchange for a young player and a fifth-round pick. This was an all-in move. This was a move where they went, okay, we're good, but let's try to be great. Or maybe we're great, but let's be the best. Let's try to be the best team in the league. Let's try to actually win the Super Bowl. Let's try to patch one of our holes. We lose a player to injury. Let's go fill that hole right now. Don't mess around. Don't sit on your hands and cross your fingers for some practice squad dude that isn't any good and you know it deep down. Just go get the guy you know is good and deal with the consequences later. These are the things that the good teams can do. The really good teams. They can make moves to give up future assets to get better now. And again, I understand there is gray area between the really, really good teams and the really, really bad teams, but at least the really, really bad teams are freed up to be sellers. Like, look at this trade a couple days ago. Houston sends Mark Ingrams to New Orleans for basically nothing, and I guess they get out of paying him a little bit of money. But the point is, the Houston Texans, they know they're not any good this year. They know they're not going anywhere. They know that this season is shot, and having a player like a Mark Ingram around is not going to do you any good. So they're able to say, hey, let's go find a team that does have a chance to win something this year. Let's get them Mark Ingram, get a little something back. It doesn't even really matter what you get back. We just don't need Mark Ingram anymore. We save a little bit of money. We get a 7th-round pick in 3 years, which is hilarious, kind of, but it's better than absolutely nothing, I guess. And, yeah. When you're bad, and you know you're bad, and you know you're not going to be able to catch the other teams in your division, and you know you're not making the playoffs, at least you're freed up to do stuff like this. We're just stuck at this 3-5 record where it's not over yet, but the odds are long. We're way back in our division. We're clearly not as good as the other teams in our division. we don't know what the team is going to look like when Wilson gets back. We don't know if he's going to be able to swoop in like Superman and save the season. We don't know if the defense that has played better the last 3 games is for real or if it's just a product of the bad offenses we played. And because of that, we're just kind of frozen. That's the only way I can put it. And that's what makes this trade deadline just the stone worst as a Seahawks fan right now. The team doesn't know which way to go. So we're just frozen. It's like when Mr. Freeze is trying to treat his wife, and his wife is caught between the state of living and dying. She's like both dead and alive at the same time, and he can't save her, but he can't mourn her either because she's not dead. And it's in a way, it's worse than if she was just dead. So it just sucks. Obviously, there's still time before the trade deadline for this team to commit, but it seems very obvious to me this team is not comfortable taking on more salary, which is really sad and pathetic when you look at what the Rams have done this offseason. They decided they were going to go all in, and they meant it. Traded the farm for Stafford, traded probably overpaid for Von Miller, but if they win the Super Bowl, they're not going to give a crap that they overpaid. That's the thing. Like, we could have gone out this offseason and overpaid for somebody like a Corey Linsley, and yeah, we probably would have had to give him like $65 million, which is an overpay. But what if we had won the Super Bowl this year with Corey Linsley? Do you think anybody in the universe would give even the tiniest crap that we were going to have to pay Corey Linsley a little too much money in a couple years? No. No. And those are the risks that this team wasn't willing to take. And I'll say it again, I didn't mind our offseason. I thought a lot of the moves we made sense, but there were the little things that left me scratching my head a little bit, like, why did you decide to commit to such bad players at center when there are so many good options? Why didn't you maybe go out and get a true blue chip pass rusher? I know you got Dunlap and he was supposed to be the guy, but as a head coach and GM in the NFL, it is your job to determine when somebody's about to fall off a cliff, and it seems like it happened with Dunlap, and we're the suckers who have to pay him through it. So that's how you end up here. Purgatory. Can't even go to hell to hang out with all the cool people. Can't get into heaven because you're 4 games back in the division, and the other 2 teams in the division look way better than you. Even if the Cardinals lose Kyler Murray for a couple games, it's no guarantee. No guarantee whatsoever. But more than likely, a few hours from now when the trade deadline expires, I kind of expect us to still be here. We could ship out Quandre Diggs. Could ship out Dwayne Brown. Could ship out Rashad Penny. Could ship out LJ Collier. Maybe he goes because we're not even playing him. And again, I want to stress, the important part is not that we get a lot of value for these guys. The important part is we get them out of here so we don't have to pay them and can move on and get something. Because right now we're getting nothing from most of these guys. There are guys on this team who could really stand to go somewhere else and get us a little bit of value back. But we're frozen, just like Mr. Freeze. We are frozen between trying to win a Super Bowl and being one of the worst teams in the league. And that's really not where you want to be. And on a day like today, you really see that. All right, see you guys later today. Go Hawks. Purgatory, man. It sucks.